of 4 games that ended at round 16 and sandwiched between the LV Cup was a mixed bag for the Aviva Premiership clubs. The loss of players to Six Nations duty not making a huge difference to the big guns, but the 24 massive games over the period were nonetheless compelling and action-packed. Northampton Saints and Leicester Tigers showed their strength in depth by claiming 4 wins from the 4 rounds, although try-bonus points were tough to come by, with both sides picking up just 1. 4 sides claimed 3 wins from 4, with Saracens, Bath and Quins maintaining their bids for a top 4 finish, but it was the other 75% outfit in Sale who were the surprise package, winning 2 away from the AJ Bell and giving themselves a realistic chance of a semi-final slot. London Irish had 2 surprise away victories, notably a shock at the Allianz which alleviates their relegation worries, while Gloucester and Exeter had just 1 win out of 4, the latter gaining their first win in 6 Premiership games during round 16. Newcastle, Worcester and surprisingly Wasps were the big losers in the Six Nations period, all 3 sides losing the 4 games, as Wasps lose ground on a top 6 finish while Worcester slip closer and closer to the point of no return. The action kicked off on Friday night with a crunch meeting at the Rec between second place Saracens and third place Bath, the hosts having won their last 12 Aviva Premiership games at home. In a ding-dong battle, 2 Saracens tries in 9 minutes effectively sealed the match. Chris Wiles with a juggling score on the half-hour mark, and then David Streppel in his 100th appearance for Sarries notching his 9th try of the season. Alex Good slotting in at 10 for the injured Charlie Hodgson added 2 penalties, 2 conversions and a drop goal to shut out the hosts who could only manage a penalty try in response. The 23-10 win all but seals a home semi for Saracens, and these 2 sides could well meet again in the last 4. On Saturday, Exeter Chiefs claimed their first Aviva Premiership win of 2014 with an 18-0 win over London Irish. The Exiles had been the form away team of the period, including the upset at Saracens, but Brian Smith's side could not muster a point at Sandy Park. 2 Henry Slade penalties divided the teams at half-time, and a try apiece for centres Phil Dolman and Ian Whitton made the point safe for a very relieved Chiefs camp.
Well, we're pretty pleased. We obviously had a tough run of games in the last couple of months, and to nil a side in the Premiership is a real achievement. I don't think that happens very often to sides, so we're really pleased with that. There's a massive amount of hard work and graft went into doing that, and that's probably the key thing that we're pleased with. We've got a bit to work on. You know, by no means was that the perfect game for us. We've actually performed better in some of the other games that we've lost, certainly in terms of some of our decision making. But we hung in there, we kept our discipline there, and it just goes to show if you don't give away too many defensive pens, it's hard for a side to get foothold in the game.
136 miles away at Adams Park, ex-Wasp Danny Cipriani was called into action earlier than expected when Joe Simpson upended Nick McLeod. The Wasp scrum half was sent to the bin while Cipriani put his penalty through the post. And the problems were compounded for the home side when a collision between 2 Wasps defenders handed the ball to David Seymour, who supplied Daniel Braid with his 6th try of the season. 4 Joe Carlisle penalties and a brilliant Simpson try put the home side ahead after half-time, but once again Wasps could not close out, and a Johnny Liotta try and 2 more Cipriani penalties gave the visitors another away win. At the Stoop, Worcester Warriors were desperate to break their run of 20 consecutive losses in the Aviva Premiership stretching back to last season. The early signs were good though. Penalties from Chris Pennell and Ryan Lamb followed by a brilliant solo try by David Lemmy gave the visitors a shock 13-3 half-time lead. Quins responded though in the second half, Ben Botica adding his 2nd and 3rd penalties either side of a fine Sam Smith touchdown that gave the hosts a single-point lead moving towards the last 10 minutes. Harry Sloane scoring a try on his very first Premiership start gave Quins some breathing space, but a Pennell converted try with minutes to go gave the Warriors a sniff. But once again Dean Ryan's men were denied, but skipper Nick Easton not impressed.
Our first half performance was the worst we've played, well, I think probably since I've been at the club. It was just so, it was lacking energy, lacking precision, and you know, there was only 1 team in it, and luckily we managed to turn it around in the second half and show what we were about. And you know, I think we were pushing for actually get the 2 tries in the last 10 minutes, but credit to Worcester, you know, they're fighting for their lives, and they came back and gave us this big scare in the last few minutes.
There was another big collision at Franklin's Gardens where traditional rivals Northampton and Gloucester went head to head. Tries from Ken Peasley and Henry Trinder, plus 2 penalties apiece from Stephen Myler and Freddie Burns meant the score was level up to 55 minutes. Then in the space of 10 minutes, tries from Callum Clark and Tom Stevenson gave Saints a buffer, and that elusive bonus point was claimed on 73 minutes when Alex Waller dotted down. Replacement centre Will Hooley added a 5th, as Saints came home at a canter to gain revenge for their round 3 loss to the Cherry and Whites. The final match of the round saw Leicester travel to Kingston Park and take on Dean Richards' Newcastle. Manu Tuilagi made his long-awaited return in a match that proved the Tigers to be much too heavyweight for their opponents. The hosts started well, with Noah Cato crossing the whitewash and Phil Godman and Lee Smith adding penalties to give Falcons the upper hand. But Nicky Donovan struck just before half-time, and with 5 penalties from Owen Williams, Tigers extended the lead in the early stages of the second half. With Ben Youngs in the bin, Scott Lawson touched down, but that was the end of the scoring for the hosts, as Tigers bulldozed their way to the try bonus point with a second from Conover and scores from Thomas Waldron and Pablo Matera. The Northampton try bonus point gives Jim Mallander's men a 2-point gap on Saracens, but it will surely be those 2 sides who claim the home semi-finals. A really interesting battle is positions 3 through to 6, and with Sale facing Saints, Quins and Bath in the next 3 rounds, the top 4 should take much better shape once those games are completed. Wasps and Chiefs' recent poor runs have probably put them out of contention of the top 6, while Irish and Gloucester will surely look to build for next season. Barring a miracle, Falcons should be safe and Worcester gone, but the round 18 matchup between the 2 sides could yet make the final rounds very interesting indeed. So another huge round of games has brought some sort of clarity to how the Premiership might shape up, with top 2 and bottom fairly locked in, but there is still time for change. Catch up with 4 match replays, highlights and interviews of all 6 collisions, plus the rest of the season's games at premiershiprugby.com, or subscribe to the official YouTube channel.